So I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, but not in the way that people have been talking about it. We've been doing so many news videos, so many speculating videos, all sorts of things, and I wanted to do something different. And that was talk about the arguments that is being made about the Nintendo Switch 2 being another Wii U. That wording has really got on my nerves because that is not true at all. The Wii U failed for so many other reasons, and it really feels like people are trying to rewrite history and don't realize why the Wii U was a failure, because what the Switch 2 has going for it right now was nothing that the Wii U had going for it. And I really wanted to talk about today and explain to you how this is definitely not another Wii U situation and compare the two systems, because one is miles ahead of the other, and I don't see a possible way for another Wii U situation to happen. Well, it's not going to happen because, like I said, the Wii U failed for many other reasons. But before we get into this, please make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, and if you want, like the video. It greatly helps out the channel. We've been doing Nintendo Switch 2 videos every single day, and I feel like this is a nice, unique video, something different. You know, we've been doing news videos, those are still gonna happen. We've been doing game hunting videos, that's gonna happen later this week, all that good stuff. But I wanted to throw something a little bit different together, so I hope you guys enjoy this. All right, let's talk about it. The Nintendo Wii U. This system, in my opinion, by the end of its life cycle, ended up being one of the best Nintendo consoles. It has a soft spot for me personally. I get why people don't like it though, but for me, that was the console that really brought me closer with the first party Nintendo IPs, because with the Wii, I had a bunch of third party stuff. I had some first party stuff, but it was mainly third party. But when the Wii U came around, that changed. I actually got the opportunity to play all of these awesome franchises. So the Wii U is always going to have a soft spot for me, but it definitely had its issues, and one of the things that made it a failure for people was its launch lineup. I mean, wow. Whew. The first party lineup, we had New Super Mario Bros. U. This game was very confusing to a lot of people. People were confused if it was a sequel or was it a remaster, an updated version of the Wii. And then people were just like, bro, I want to be done with this series. We don't want the new Super Mario Bros. Series anymore. When that announcement came that it was the launch title, the big first-party Nintendo game that was being hyped up, everyone was disappointed. And it definitely played into a factor of the sales, because that was the big Nintendo game. Obviously, you had things like Nintendo Land. I think Nintendo actually published Ninja Gaiden 3 and Sing Party, but Nintendo Land, it was a great game, but it had to be with friends. And, you know, at that timeline, you didn't really have people over in that timeline. It was mainly kind of like an online setting at that point, and Nintendo still didn't really figure out online in that era. And there was a lot of games that the Wii U had that should have had online. And I think that definitely also played into the factor with the Wii U, but its first party launch lineup was absolutely horrible. And the third party lineup was kind of lacking. I still think it had a great library for that lineup. But the issue is once third-party support came out for the Wii U in that era, it dropped like flies after the launch date because the system wasn't selling well, and a lot of people's complaints is it wasn't a lot of original games. And I think the only game that I can think of off the top of my head that was original, and we'll probably show the list of games of what came out for third-party, but the only original game that I think came out, I want to say, was maybe Epic Mickey 2, and then was Zombie U a launch title? I don't even remember. But there was some titles there, but it was mainly filled with a bunch of remasters. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be quick to be like, wait a second, isn't the Switch 2 going to have a bunch of remasters? Yes, you're correct. However, these are games that people have been asking to be on a Nintendo platform, where a lot of this other stuff that is coming to the Wii U at the time were games that were really old and really kind of just wanted the new versions of the game. Didn't really make sense to have a remastered title. And because of that, third-party games just did not sell well. The system did not sell well. It had just a horrible lineup completely. And even from a Nintendo perspective of the Nintendo Wii U, it was pretty bad from a first-party perspective. It took months for support for Nintendo to come out for this system. I think after that, I think it was somewhere around March or something, is when you got Game & Wario, a few months after the Wii U. It seemed like Nintendo was heavily relying on third-party support for the Wii U because there were games that it would take months later for something Nintendo to come out with. And I mean, the support was so bad that Nintendo actually came out with what was a Wii U Direct back in January 2012. The support from Nintendo was so bad that Nintendo kind of came out what I consider to be like an emergency Nintendo Direct. The way that this Nintendo Direct happened, the announcements that was in it, it just felt very unplanned and something that needed to be made to show the people that bought the system and future buyers of the system that games were coming. Because there would be games in there such as like Xenoblade X, for example. Xenoblade X was first revealed in that Nintendo Direct. And I always remember telling people when I go back to the Nintendo Switch 1 with this, when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was revealed back in that Nintendo Switch presentation in 2017, and they announced that the game was going to come out in 2017, no one believed that, because if you go back in time to that Wii U Direct, they showed off Xenoblade X, and that game had so many delays, like it was impossible to think a Xenoblade game would come out before, like a delay would happen. But this Wii U Direct happened, there were so many first-party games announced, it felt like an emergency broadcast to show the fans, and I guess maybe investors, that hey, we're not dying here, the Wii U is gonna have games. Like, it felt like a very desperate Direct, and something very different that the Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't have going for it right now. I want to show y'all what the first year of the Nintendo Wii U games were when it came from a first-party perspective. We had New Super Mario Bros. U, Wii Party U, Wonderful 101, Nintendo Land, Wii Sports Club, Super Mario 3D World, Pikmin 3, Wii Fit U, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Zelda Wind Waker HD, which, by the way, I don't think Zelda Wind Waker HD was planned to ever be a game. I feel like this was made because they needed something to come out to the Wii U. They needed something fast, but something nice and something unique. And I think they looked at Wind Waker and was like, hey, we can make a $60 game. We can make something come out of this. Zombie U, Pokemon Rumble U, and Game & Wario. For the first year of that is not a great lineup. You're missing a full 3D Zelda game, which once again, I think that's why they brought Wind Waker HD, because the Wii U was missing so many key titles. Like, why was a 3D Mario game not there within the, I guess it's the first year, but that should have been, if it was released in the holiday season, that should have been what they launched with. Why did they launch with New Super Mario Bros. U? You had no Zelda, you were advertising eShop games as like a headline thing for you, which, it was bad. It was bad. That was one of the reasons why the Wii U failed. The first party lineup taking forever to come out. The third party games being what it was, a bunch of ports, not original stuff coming out. None of the other games coming out consistently with other consoles like the Wii U versions, whether they get delayed or canceled. It was a mess.
Yeah, look like I've been upgraded.
But let's take a look at the Switch 2 lineup with its first year. Granted, this is just 6 months. So the fact that we're getting this amount of games compared to what the Wii U had, let's just take a look at this. You got Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. You got the game system launching with Mario Kart World. That is a big title to be launching with. You have Kirby Air Riders. You have Meteoroid Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, which, you know, that's a port, I guess, for some people, but that game feels like it was designed for the Switch 2. Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Pokemon Legends ZA Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, which, once again, that is probably a game that was meant to be for Switch 2, although it's Game Freak, they don't know what they're doing over there, so it's probably going to be garbage no matter what platform you pick. Donkey Kong Bananza Did I do it right? Donkey Kong Bananza. Oh my gosh, I got it right. That's a big title. Drag X Drive, Nintendo's new IP that I think they're hoping to be is like the next Splatoon. At least that's my theory. That's a story for another day, maybe a future video. And then you have like Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 edition. There's a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 editions, but there's 5 big titles in there that are all original games that aren't remasters / ports, and big titles to have within the first 5 months of your system. Where if you look at the Wii U, it was missing so much within that first year that it was just like, whoa, what went wrong here? You have so many party games there, not like many single player full-on experiences, not like a good multiplayer game, online multiplayer. There was all sorts of things that went wrong with the Wii U, and the Nintendo Switch 2 does not have that going for it. There is not going to be another Wii U. The only way to have another Wii U is a lack of third-party support, the lack of first-party games, which that's not going to happen here. Nintendo has learned their lesson from first-party games, because if you look back at the Switch 1, you had a game come out every single month almost. That's not going to happen here with the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to the Wii U, because the Wii U took forever with that. Switch 2 has games.
Hot buttered popcorn, that's a deal.
Another thing that I want to bring up with this, and I don't really think this makes sense to have it as its own video, so I think bringing the 3DS up to this is the perfect time to ever do it. I've seen people compare the 3DS price tag into the Nintendo Switch 2 price tag, that maybe that if, you know, there's enough controversy, the Switch 2 price will be lowered, kind of like the 3DS. But what people don't realize is the reason why the 3DS lowered was because no one was buying the system, but it really wasn't the price. Once again, we have to go back to the first party lineup of Nintendo 3DS games. There literally was no games coming out for this system till literally Christmas time of that year. This system released in March 2011? Let me pull up my calendar here. Yeah, March 2011. And guess what the system launched with from a first party perspective? You have Nintendogs and Cats, you have Pilot Wings Resort, and Steel Diver. That was your 2013 March 3DS launch lineup. Of course no one was going to buy the system. And it wasn't till 3 months later that Nintendo came out with another game for it, which was Ocarina of Time, which, hey, that was a good one to have. Why didn't you launch the system with it though? And then you didn't get another game for 3 more months because Star Fox 64 came out in September, but you're left wondering, okay, but where's like an original experience, like a true 3D experience here? A lot of remasters. What's going on with the 3DS? And then Super Mario 3D Land came out, which was a great game overall, and that is what Nintendo used to promote the 3DS, and then it lowered with that game coming out. And then the system sold like crazy because it had games. A big experience because Nintendo started releasing games left and right for the Nintendo 3DS. So when people make the lower the price argument and they bring up the 3DS, they don't have the history right about that, and I don't know, I guess I don't like when people bring it up since they weren't a part of that timeline. At least most people that make those comparisons didn't buy the system at that time or see what was going on. Like the Wii U assumptions have really gotten on my nerves because that's not what happened with the Wii U. The Wii U failed because of its lineup of games and some confusion from Nintendo, which granted there is some confusion from Nintendo with the Switch 2, but nowhere near what the Wii U was. So when people make that comparison of the Switch 2 is just gonna be another Wii U, no, it's impossible. There's no similarity there. I also don't think this system is going to sell horrible because it is launching with Mario Kart, and on top of that has a Mario Kart bundle. And Mario Kart is a game people are asking for. You know, with the Wii U, no one was asking for a sequel to New Super Mario Bros. Wii. In fact, people wanted to be done with that series after the 3DS entry in the series. People just wanted to be done, and Nintendo didn't want to be done. They just kept going with it.
Excuse me, you're in my seat.
I don't think so.
Settle it in Smash! Speed Fighter! Donkey Kong!
Overall, at the end of the day, the Nintendo Switch 2 is not going to be another Wii U, just due to the fact with its incredible first-party lineup that we already know about, with things such as Mario Kart, Donkey Kong. It's even got a Zelda game, kind of. Hyrule Warriors. Nintendo knows what they're doing right there, having a Hyrule Warriors game come out this year, because they know the next 3D Zelda is probably going to take another year or two, or maybe even 3 years. Not to mention, we are more than likely getting another Nintendo Direct within the next few months, probably towards the end of summer, where we're going to see an idea of what's to come for the Switch 2, because there may even be more games coming out this year for the system. On top of that, we might even see what's coming out next year. I know Nintendo is cooking some crazy games for this system, as we have so many developers with Nintendo now that have been working on this system for so long that, you know, haven't had games come out for the Switch 1, like, you know, next level games. What are they working on? Luigi's Mansion 4? I don't know. There's so many great things that are going to come to the Switch 2, and I am not worried about it being another Wii U, because it does not have nowhere near the issues that the Wii U had. Truly, the only issue that the Switch 2 has is probably the price of its games. If you really think about it, the price of the Switch 2 is fair, but that's a hot take. That's a hot take, I know, but definitely the game price is an issue. Guys, I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out the Instagram, all that good stuff in the description below. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and yeah, make sure you're staying tuned for all these great Switch 2 videos that we're making. I would love to hear what you guys thought about this. I feel like this is going to be a video that people are going to be very debatable about. Probably potentially very critical towards me in the comments. Probably calling me a Nintendo glazer after this. But as someone that owned a Wii U and was a part of that history, I don't like the comparisons being made, because that's not what happened with the Wii U. I don't know, to those who owned a Wii U at that time, maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to say there, because that's just not what happened. Either way, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Gosh dang it, I think I had a booger literally come out as that was happening. I'm wondering if I should retake that, because I'm going to retape that. Coleman, you better not use that footage ever. It's probably going in the blackmail folder, but okay, I'm good. All right. Why did I do my mouth like that? Okay.